Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of The Vampire Diaries. There was some craziness happening. I think probably the most shocking thing was the whole Stefan and Catherine thing. And then I really just spent like the rest of the night trying to figure out what their celebrity couple name would be. I came up with Statharin because I thought that was kind of interesting. It sounded kind of stabby, which made me think of Catherine, but you guys, I just didn't even know what to think about that. The scary part is that I was kind of feeling it, like for a few minutes when they were locked together in the safe. So yeah, let's backtrack a little bit. Basically, at one point in the episode last night, Carolyn comes over with her chipper self, and she's there to help Stefan. Turns out that Catherine's called her in because all of a sudden the two of them are BFFs. But yeah, Catherine calls her in to help Stefan, and so she brings with her the safe, the actual safe that Stefan was trapped in under the water. So she's decided they're just gonna do this like intense therapy, even though none of them is like licensed to therapize. But basically it involves Stefan getting back in the safe and facing his fears. I did think it was really, really interesting, right? That when he's in the safe, he starts to freak out, of course. And then at one point, Catherine gets in the safe with him. And that's when Catherine pretty much tells him, like, you're either going to kill me or we're going to deal with your issues here. And the deep part was that his issues are not really about what happened in the water. Even though, I mean, that is pretty crazy. Catherine points out that the real issue is him not being able to deal with the fact that he lost Elena. Speaking of Elena, let us go back and talk about Elena because she is trapped along with Damon down in the basement somewhere in a cage by Dr. Maxfield, right? And Damon's doing this whole flashback during this episode back to when he was captured by these Augustine people back in the 50s. I will say the flashbacks, I thought they were really interesting and they were really one of my favorite parts of this episode. We get though that Damon was pretty much tortured for 5 years by this whole Augustine group, and there was another vampire there that he befriended whose name was Enzo. Long story short, Damon and Enzo come up with a plan to escape, and in the end, Damon ends up deserting Enzo. Like, he ends up leaving him there to save himself in true Damon fashion. The thing I love about Damon Salvatore is that he never tries to be something that he's not. You know, Damon is always upfront about who he is. Some of the stuff he learned was pretty interesting, right? Because I felt like Elena was really starting to realize who she chose. And I'm not just saying that as a Stalena fan, because you guys know that I am Stalena. I'm like hardcore Stalena people. But I love Damon Salvatore, and I get the Damon thing. But I thought it was interesting because it definitely seemed like Elena, like her eyes were opening. You know, we got a hint of that last week with what Caroline said to her. And I think this week, as she listened to Damon tell this story about not only how he deserted this guy, but even after he escaped, he like executed this horrible revenge plan against the Whitmore family. And yeah, the more and more we learned about it, the more you kind of saw this look on Elena's face that was just like, uh-oh. The problem, though, is that as she's realizing that she's chosen incorrectly, Stefan and Catherine, by the end of the episode, are like just full on going at it. So I'm not really sure where we're going with the two of them, but it was definitely a twist that I was not expecting. The other cool part that I loved about this episode is after this like really grand flashback with Damon in the 50s being trapped with this other vampire named Enzo, you think Enzo's dead, but at the end of the episode, when Elena wakes up strapped to the gurney and getting ready to get tortured, she looks over and there he is. So I have a feeling that he's going to have some revenge fantasies that he's got for Damon, and that should kind of be really scary. It was a really interesting episode. I think I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I'm really excited about Enzo. Like, I'm hoping he sticks around and that there's a storyline for him because he just seems like he would be a really interesting character. I don't know what to think about Stefan and Catherine. I'm still thinking about that, so I would love to hear what you guys thought about that down in the comment section below. And I will see you guys again very, very soon. Bye.